Ah, vlah, vlah, vlah. A word to the wise. We are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes as well as entering spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us. In case you couldn't tell by the vahs everywhere, this week that is going to be through for this specific episode. We're going to be talking through The Other Edge. However, we may reference things as far as the Engima of Hours.
The Engima of Hours.
3. Hey there, this is Cross.
And this is Josh.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers alike. We tackle fiction, novels, and love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
Book club so good, you get cut off after a little bit. And then they kick you out. And then you're like, oh no, I need more of my book club.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We do that sometimes to ourselves. Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we don't make it to all the chapters we said we were going to do.
That's only happened twice, which, to be fair, PJ and I had hundreds of episodes to practice, and we did do that in our practice episodes. We fucked up a bunch within our first 14. So, you're within that window. It's allowed.
Yeah. It's good. We're good.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. We've got like a dozen or so beneath our belt now, which is good.
Basically caught up to PJ at this point.
Practically the same. Yep.
Pretty much.
As we approach our 300th episode, your 12 episodes are the same thing. Yep.
Feels about 50-50, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this one's 295, so, that's...
So, yeah. I mean, come on.
Right. That said, today we're going to be talking specifically within this subsection, our third episode, talking about Christopher Rucchio's Howling Dark. Very excited to continue the conversation, of course. We're talking obedience through the other edge. Again, like the forewarning, we may cover the advance. We're again taking like a double week and splitting it in two because, life's been crazy and chaotic and we're trying to get ahead of the schedule again. And yeah. Josh was in a bunch of bands, which is fun and good. And also our schedule
Don't agree to learn 30 songs in a week.
Yeah.
I do. It was fun.
Yeah. There were people in our lives sick. We were sick. It's been a bit. We're getting ahead of it. This is the plan. So a little twofer across the 2 weeks, but I'm very excited to talk about this subsection. What do you think of basically through the fight with Basander Lynn up until the moment in which we see March Station?
Yeah. Oh God, it's really cool. I love a heist, and it's only a little heist, but it's a
tiny
heist.
heist.
It's a tiny heist, and I like it whenever Hadrian's actually kind of functional, which it seems like he's doing more and more of in this book. So that's good.
Or farming more.
Yeah. I like Aura farming Hadrian, even if technically, that was Switch's win, but it's fine.
Yes.
I think that it sets up a lot of cool stuff within like the things we generally know loosely based on the framing device about his relationship with Lysander later, and then kind of seeing this falling out here. It really hits with like the falling out with Jinan. There's a lot of really good stuff in this section, and what a why, like in the book I still would be like, oh, the alarm, but like in the audiobook he's just telling us stuff, then so, it kept me on my toes. I was driving to work stressed.
I listened to this I think 3 times over the course of the week, and I was like, I have to make that the intro. I've listened to this too many times. It has to be a part of the text. Like it's just so it's good, and for the record, doing as well as you can with being handed a sound effect.
Oh my God,
on page.
It does make me, well, two sides of it. I want like audiobooks that are some not full like theatricized audiobooks, but just a little spiced up,
a little sauce.
Like it'd be so cool to listen to an audiobook that like just had that alarm in there, kind of coming in and out, or like like little ambient sounds. There's something called like the book track version that I listen to for Red Country whenever I listen to that. Yeah. And it'll have like subtle wagon noises in the background or like very soft like southern music, but it's still just Pacey's narration. And I love that. And this is one of those times that I'm like, we could have put a sound effect in. Like, I get that that's not traditional audiobooking, but you could have just put in an alarm.
Yeah, you could have just done a little bit as opposed to making, Rukin go wah,
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, then we wouldn't get Rukin going wah, which I changed my mind right now. I'm back. I'm so back.
I'm so back. So back, so quick. Yeah, I really like this section on the whole. I think that it like does give Hadrian a big part to play. It also sets up what I think you can now identify between the 2 weeks episodes of like a supporting cast of characters finally.
Yes.
We're not just, we are obviously in Hadrian's point of view, but we have people around him now that are clearly sticking around.
There was a moment when he's like talking about his plan and he's like, they're like, what about all your like Myrmidon friends? And he's like, they'll go back. I was like, you son of a bitch. We cannot do another cast change up. But please.
Yeah.
And then like, luckily. And then he was like, well, Polino will go back. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks to lose Polino. But like, we're keeping Switch still. And we
Siren,
have.
Siren.
Krim. Not Gen. Krim.
Yeah.
Krim's
new, though. He's a part of the Norman.
Yeah. But like, that's like someone that he keeps mentioning. And I'm like, we're going to have somebody in this cast, right?
Yeah. Alara.
But yeah, exactly. It was nice that Polino does come along. I liked that a lot. Really cool moment too, with like Valka coming out last minute, like, oh, I went and got him, and like it had a very like I had mentioned with the Lesser Devils, which we talked about recently. Lesser Devil, there's just one. Well, there are two.
Yeah.
Damn.
In
I don't want to talk too much about that book because that's a different episode. But I mentioned it had like a very cinematic, like classic sci-fi action movie feel. And this section definitely has that. Like,
this feels torn out of Star Wars in a lot of ways.
I was gonna say this has such a storming the Death Star feel in such a cool way. And so I really liked all of that. I do have to say, jumping into the first chapter we're going to talk about. It was wild to have an entire chapter that literally was just exclusively waxing poetic within Hadrian's head. There is no actual like physical action in that chapter. And I don't mean like action. I mean like it is literally just pondering.
Yeah, it's a preponderance of like what to do, right? What to do. And he opens it with, I felt like a man bouncing on a wire, and he's in the middle of a bunch of these big decisions, right? And he tells us that he's we get like a lot of weird details. This is one of those intermittent chapters that we talked about before, but this one is even more so because there's nothing else around it. This is just his thoughts.
It's purely like, I thought I accidentally clicked on a philosophy textbook.
Yeah.
Like
was
a
it
good
greed
philosophy
then that motivated
textbook,
me?
but...
Pride?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting, especially as he's reflecting on this at the end of this period, right? And he's 1,500 years or so in the future.
Yeah.
Removed.
Also, totally forgot to do this.
Yeah.
Devil's Cut. So I'm just gonna go ahead.
Ooh, hell yeah. Hang on. That was the thing that I wanted to do before you fully went into obedience. But maybe we'll talk about obedience and then we'll talk about our beers.
Yeah, that's my bad. I jumped the gun, but I was just,
good.
As we were talking about it, that was one of like my overview thoughts that still was just like, there was a weird chapter in there, but I liked it.
Yeah. It is one of those chapters, though, that makes me question whether or not that like conversation with Rain Smythe actually happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, is he just doing this of his own will, or is he actually saying that happened and like Rain was telling him those things?
Yeah, or is it like some level of like, this is what Rain would want,
implied,
like, an assumption that 1,500 years later becomes a memory request,
Yeah, right. And we get even more into that, I think, in the back half of the episodes here, because there's like a whole conversation about like, what is a memory,
Yeah, I mean that's in this section, I think, like pretty early on, at least the part I'm thinking of, where he's thinking about like looking back down the hall, and he's like, whenever I would think of Jinan.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
that for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I picture her that way,
Mm-hmm.
standing there watching me, but I know I didn't turn around. So how do I have a memory of her in that moment?
Yeah.
But I also remember walking straight ahead and not looking back. Like that's so there's definitely this like, all right, so he's remembering two different things.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have like this photographic perfect. Whatever happens whenever we get to Mock Station and later Vorgosos, he doesn't get like a memory chip implant that makes him perfect at remembering things.
No, right.
So
Yeah.
there is this like twisted memory aspect to it that I think has come up a few times now that makes it really interesting.
Yeah, he's just doing his best with it, all considered. So, that said, obviously this chapter is called Obedience, and a big part of that chapter again is those reflections on the ideas or terms around obedience. Did you find this sort of repetition that we'd heard earlier interesting in the way that it came back up, or how do you think about like the aphorisms continuing and sort of some of the other components?
Yeah,
what are you expecting of like
it.
mental Gibson, out of Hadrian's perspective?
It comes across less as him like actually coming up with a choice or like remembering something. It's very meditative, right?
Sure.
Like it's
Yeah.
like a mantra almost, that he's just kind of like going through these things that he knows so well without really like thinking about exactly what they mean,
Mhm.
and then kind of finding an answer within that. So it's a really cool, interesting like look into Hadrian's kind of ability to work through what happened or what is happening. And this one's really interesting because I'd say this chapter has the strangest like framing where I don't know if this is more what Hadrian in the moment is feeling or what he remembered, like if it's retrospective or current. Like
Sure.
it almost doesn't seem to exist as much within the framing device that we're used to.
Right. Yeah.
It feels very in his brain in the moment. But
Mhm.
yeah, so it's this chapter in general just feels different than
It's an
like
abstraction
everything
of
else.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of like distance itself and exists outside of like the actual direct action of the story, even outside of the framing device itself, just within the mind generally of Hadrian in regards to these events. And it was like, how do I put this? Almost a little too psychedelic for me at 6:30 a.m. on my way to work, but I really.
I mean,
liked
to start
it,
off
you know?
to start off the reading, yeah, for sure.
I started my day with
end
that.
here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I got my coffee. Time to go in. And what is reality?
Obedience?
Why
Yeah.
do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Is it for fear? You know, like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
What was I seeking as a goal of everything?
And I'm like, what am I seeking as a goal? I guess a paycheck right now. Jesus.
I want to ensure that I'm paid well for the time that I'm committing to things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was it's a fun chapter. It's not a fun chapter. It's a good chapter.
Fair and valid. Okay, before we continue into conspiracy, let's talk about our beers real quick. We'll pop into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a simple little fella over here. Just I usually have an IPA. I'll start mixing it up at some point, but not today.
I didn't either. Let the record show.
We've got this one from Society Brewing Company, who I've had a few from Society on here before. It's SoCal Beer Company brewery that I like a lot, and I got this one that I've never had because I really liked the artwork. It is just an India Pale Ale. It's called The Visitor, and
ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's got these stars on it. It's got a little alien on the back. It felt fitting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, some space stuff. I was like, hey, I'm reading a space book with the human hand and the alien hand and that feels fitting. That feels like Tanaran and Hadrian right there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, well, yeah, also. What are you drinking? Oh, and it's good. Also, it's good.
It's good to hear that it's good. I think I had this on the episode that we did with Aaron, which is Bit by the Party Animal, Drecker, North Dakota Brewing Company.
Yeah.
With Zool from Mexico. Very good. Combo brew. Just having another one. I got a 4-pack, It's what's
I
in
got
the
a
fridge.
4-pack of this too. So if we do back half beers, it'll be another one of these.
Oh man, I wasn't even sure how long the front half was going to go, so I actually have a second one in the hopper already.
Just on deck.
Well, it's in my little can koozie thing here with our logo on it. So with the old logo, I should say. Rest in peace.
Man,
I need to make new
I
stickers.
need to get some
of.
stickers.
Yeah. I haven't.
We need
made
new
ones.
stickers.
We have the
and
new
I
logo,
need
but
one.
we haven't done new stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, the tag for this is bright, bold, beyond. I didn't read that before.
Bright.
Now I have. I was trying to look to see if I could find the hops and stuff in this, but because it's
Beyond.
really bright and nice.
This is a Citra Cryo, Nelson, Idaho 7, Maui Nelson hop, Keef, and Nectarone hops. That's so many.
I think they're keeping them secret on this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Space hops. I'm assuming space hops.
Galaxy, probably.
So Galaxy, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Always good. Okay, so we can move into conspiracy then. This is sort of the actual planning chapter. This is how do I get done my aspirations that I set about in the chapter before, kind of, mentally as he was kind of working his way through it and thinking through it. So Hadrian notes. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it almost feels like if you have a big test you need to take or like a big conversation you need to have, obedience feels like the night before, like not even like staying up, but like whenever you're asleep, but it's super restless.
And
right, your brain's
staring
still
at the ceiling
thinking
in the dark.
about the thing. Yeah, exactly. Or not even staring at the ceiling in the dark. Like, have you ever had where like you're thinking about something so much before you go to sleep that while you're asleep, it's like it's still happening?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, obedience feels like I'm asleep, but I'm still stressing about the thing. And then conspiracy, we wake up and actually do the things.
Very true. Yeah. As I think about those dreams, Josh, the most frequent one that I have is about the Powerpuff Girls. Don't know why.
Just it's from
Stress
all
dreams
those
about the Powerpuff
nights
Girls.
where you're just laying there thinking about the
Mojo
Powerpuff
Jojo
Girls
is going to
until you
get
fall
them
asleep.
someday. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I hope they're okay.
The city of Townsville cannot survive without the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah. Do you really have reoccurring dreams about the
I
Powerpuff
actually,
Girls?
as like an 18-year-old, had reoccurring nightmares about the Powerpuff Girls, and like that's not entirely a bit.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I have a few reoccurring nightmares, but they're like the normal ones. Like I forgot I have a second job and I haven't checked the schedule in like a month. But
no, I've got weird ones like sleep demons killing the Powerpuff Girls and then the city of Townsville going to ruin. It's bad. It's cool. Not anymore. Those are all gone now. Thank God.
Oh man, we're gonna need a whole other podcast to break that down.
No, I've got therapy for that. We're good. We're past it actually.
Cool. Good. Yeah, we'll have your therapist on. That'll probably be good.
This one wasn't responsible for handling that trauma. But that's
conspiracy.
Hadrian really is focusing on like breaking of the company here as he kind of thinks about it. And he's like, oh my God, like I'm kind of losing this part of myself that I've had for several years now at this point. And he's also focused on like grabbing his things, of course, including notebooks full of different drawings that he really kind of takes to heart. He takes note of from Krim and goes to meet with Octavia, Corvo, and Valka, focusing on getting them to agree to take him to March Station at the very least so that he can pursue his own ends. You know, he doesn't have enough to like fuel the company and fund them necessarily, but he can make something happen. And while they're skeptical of a lot of different things, Octavia and Valka question his connection to Janan, with Hadrian saying that they're done before ultimately kind of coming to terms.
Yeah. This I mean it pushes forward a little bit into the next part, but like Octavia.
Yeah.
Crazy. She forgot the C. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Her parents forgot the C.
Octavia and Hadrian's kind of like bargaining in this scene is like a little reminiscent to me of like all the way back in book one, whenever he's like getting the credits, and it's like cool to see he's still got it, you know, and he's better at it now. He comes in with a plan to like, this is how, and then I'm gonna like go down, like I'm gonna ask for all of them, and then we'll reduce it to Tannerin, which is very simple, but like, and he has a plan to get on and off the ship. He has everything set up. But again, classic Hadrian style. He just doesn't even think to ask Valka, who was like the linchpin for this entire plan to work. He's like, but there's cameras. He's like, oh, I don't know. It's fine. Like, just ask your anti-camera ex-girlfriend right here. Like, and he's like, well, would she even want to? I don't think she'd want to. I'm like, she's only here to talk to Tanneran. Like, yeah, she's going to want to do this.
You also literally said that in your own point of view that she only wants to talk to Tanneran. So, like, you have a moment.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever he's like shocked that, oh, she's sticking around, she's gonna help. I'm like, yeah, she
Dude.
gave up 40 years of her life for the chance to talk to Tanner, and like, you should have led with that, but classic Adrian.
Yeah. Yeah. Really tough spot. I mean, like, think about Valka ever heading back to Tavros, right? Like, her parents would be so gone. It'd be like great grandchildren by the time that she gets back, considering,
like how much time she's.
Yeah, it's just
we
an
don't
interesting
even really
thing to think
know
about with, like, the time dilation versus
Yeah, we don't know like the age of Valka, but we know based on how many systems she's traveled to, like, and now that we're getting kind of a view of what that looks like because she's been to all these different planets to look for the quiet,
right.
So like, yeah, she's probably old, young, but time old, body young.
Yeah, the time old, body young for sure. Mind, in the same way as body. She's noted as older for sure than Hadrian, and beyond, like, even just like time old, like age, awake age old. But how much? Maybe a decade? I don't know. It's unclear.
Yeah. Maybe she's a decade or so older physically than Hadrian, but like she's probably spent a lot of time in Fugue.
Yeah, right.
Based on what we know about her. Not actually something I'd really considered, but you're so right.
Yeah. So peace out to Junon, though. Right? He kind of like just says that it was her fault. She did this.
She did this. Her fault. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I didn't get quite enough time with Jinan to care too deeply about this moment, but it it's there. It sucks, but it kind of feels like whenever whoever James Bond is happily with dies in the first 20 minutes of the movie. And you're like, all right, cool. Now here we go. So, it definitely has like, and I don't know that Janon's not going to be important to this story or continue in, but it not to the same like egregious level where she's not like a fully fleshed character or anything, but it's almost the equivalent of fridging a little bit, where it's just like, let's throw this relationship in to motivate Hadrian and give like a stressor level as we come out of this.
That's interesting.
I don't want to view it that way.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up as though it's adjacent to fridging, and I think it's more appropriate to call it adjacent because like
it's like pantrying, it's like in the same kitchen, but
yeah, she's not dead and she's still alive and active, and she wasn't just like, she's not just there to serve as motivation. Matter of fact, she's like sort of the opposite, right? Like he's not doing something because of her. He's actually doing something in opposition to her, which doesn't necessarily make it fridging, but like I get it's the like other side of this of like not fully caring about it because we haven't been committed to the relationship long enough.
I guess where the adjacency comes from is it's like this character that's introduced as a romantic interest where we don't see any of the buildup or like relationship. We're just told like this person is in a relationship with our main character who we already know and care about, just to have it be like
it's like the inverse of Cat, it's like we get the back half.
Exactly. So just to have like so that we can give a higher attention to this moment without him needing to like betray one of the like myrmidons or something that we need to go with us, so like that won't work in the story. So I don't know, with Jinan I was like, there's some good writing, especially in that kind of like last moment in the hallway and everything, but like at the same time, I don't know, it's like, all right, well, we probably won't see her again. Moving on.
Yeah, there's no like serious emotional loss there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And like he feels a loss, and that's cool. We love that you feel things, Hadrian, but you feel a lot of things. So.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I'd be like, if Hadrian was a very like cold character and this gave us an opportunity to like see a more like emotionally vulnerable
I think it is a little bit more emotionally vulnerable, though, to be fair. This is like the first woman he actually cares about. But even then, we don't get enough of it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Really...
But it's like Hadrian cares so deeply about so many things and is always pretty torn up about stuff. So like, I like Jinan as the bit we got to see from her. I wouldn't like say, hey, change this. But like at the end of the day, her character feels a little unnecessary to me.
I mean, she's just an intro.
I enjoy it.
She's like a
exactly.
This is almost like the first 12-ish chapters or so are almost like prologue, right? To clearly like where we're going. That might be a little bit too hyperbolic, considering like there's a lot that happens in those first chapters. But it's like
good chapters.
That's a short story almost in and of itself to like introduce
Yeah.
us to the idea of the Red Company and like Hadrian in the current moment. Okay, now we're on Hadrian's adventure, like from conspiracy onward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once we get into the actual planning of the plan,
right,
and everything, it's cool to see him have an idea and get people to agree to it and know how to like speak to and kind of play people, not play people, but like he knows how to work the system and who he's dealing with and how to get them on board.
Yeah, I don't even think that he's going so far as to work it. I think he has hopes that they believe that it's as achievable as he thinks it is. And now he's able to like down ratchet himself to be like, okay, we can't do that. We can't carry them all out. You're right. My plan B was to have Tanaran walk out. You down? And they're like, no, but it's better than the other plan and we like you. So sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got pretty excited like at the end of this chapter. When Hadrian was saying this is going to be fun, I was like, this is going to be fun because I'm just pumped that Tanaran is off ice and we can actually get some like direct Cielson human interaction, hopefully ongoing for a little while. So
yeah, I've got one other thing that I want to bring up before that, but I love the bit about like Hadrian saying this is going to be fun, right? Like, because it's so good to see him like smile and laugh a little bit, and there's like a fun like jokey repertoire that happens there between everyone. You're like, oh shit, there's some good like chemistry with friends now,
Yeah. Do you know if any of the like short stories? I think you were saying actually one of them might be, but are like they're like the time in the Red Company? Because I would just love to see what
there are a couple of Red Company stories. I think there's
sick.
I'm thinking between the three of them, the three tales that I've read, I think there's 4 Red Company stories, and I'll tell you this: Queen Amid Ashes is a Hadrian novella. In the Red Company. It's like a Red Company mission.
Okay.
So
sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very excited for that because I would love to know more about that time.
Yeah. So there are a couple of different like Red Company-y stories, and adjacencies there. There's one that's from Octavia's perspective that's just excellent. But you can't read that for a while. So like after book 4, I think.
But why?
Because it takes place further down the pipeline. Yikes.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing that I've come into with this podcast that I never had to worry about before. Like I was talking to a like new acquaintance friend person, and he's like talking up the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to read those. I don't know if those are ever going to come
You
up
can totally read
podcast,
those. Yeah. The only books that I've been thinking about lately that I was like, you can totally read the Dungeon Crawler Carls. It'd be fun to do more reviews of them, because we did do the first episode. We can do them later. The only ones that I've been like on my mind more lately about like maybe saving is the Poppy War. Because I wouldn't mind going back and rereading those and kind of breaking it down because there's sort of like a history analog text, which is fun and interesting and like a good time. And I love them. So,
good to know.
That's like the only one that, outside of the Dark Tower. Like that's the like I've already blocked that off. And Realm of the Elderlings potentially, just because that could be I know that I've read the first book and like a little bit of the second book. You've read all of the second book.
All of the first 2.
Yeah. So like I would just dive into the rest and then whatever. Or we could do it the other way. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe I could finish Realm of the Elderlings and
could be fun.
Torture you.
Yeah. Could be a fun time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But
Dungeon Crawler Colors.
Also he was reading Malazan, and I'm like, I don't think we're gonna do Malazan. That'd take forever.
Too much. Too tough. Too much. Too impenetrable. I love it. It's good to read. But I'm not gonna pretend or even try to do what we do on this podcast for that book.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I've read the first book, and I will continue to read the series, but that was enough for me to go, nah, I don't think so.
It's funny. He was like telling me all about it, and then he's like, and it really starts at book 4. And I'm like, at book 4? Like, Jesus Christ. But,
it's really interesting up until that point, but it is like, I have no fucking clue. I'm liking these individual short stories you're giving me, but what is this? Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about Sun Eater.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the
Yeah,
Sun
yeah.
Eater. Okay, Adrian.
I love the glow up, the smiling, and everything like that. In particular, I do love the Octavia line, and I think she's built up as maybe, I mean, to this point, my favorite side character right next to Switch and Volca, where she says, "Oh, we're friends, Marlo, but I can't fuel the Mistral on friendship," which is just such a good comeback.
Yeah. I love this, and so I'm a little hazy on it, but remind me if I'm right. Like, Octavia is the leader of. Is she like the leader of the section of people they like picked up along the way?
Yes,
with
the
Red Company
Federatis, in the Normans. Yep.
Okay, and those are the ones that they like basically got whenever they like overthrew some other commander person.
Yes,
or something, right? Okay,
combination of Went and Bordelon.
Yeah.
Bordelon,
okay. And so I love that there's just this group of pirates that they like absorbed into their. They're not necessarily pirates, but like it gives the vibe. Yeah, it gives the vibe of like, hey, we ended up in a mercenary war and we just vibed, so they stuck with us. You know, it feels very Pirates of the Caribbean in that regard, where like certain members just keep joining other crews because like they're there, I guess. I dig Octavia, and I like that her company stays with Hadrian, and it's just like this ragtag crew. It's somewhere between the Black Pearl and the Serenity, like
very much so. Yeah. Bastion, Durand, Krim, and her, like are kind of our like our point people, and Ilex, obviously.
Yeah.
Conspiracy. Nothing too much more there. We go to the first treason. Everyone gets their various places. This is sort of our heisty sort of setup chapter as they begin to execute this plan. Hadrian whispers to himself, "Beware Greeks bearing gifts," which is, of course, a subtle nod to the Iliad and, everything kind of going on there. In classical English, as Volca deploys into the network, he convinces...
Have the Greeks ever given a gift that went bad? Come on.
I mean, yeah.
They give great statues of horses. I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah, right.
I haven't read the Iliad. What happens?
What happens in the Iliad? I know that. Wait, you mean that's Troy? I know Troy, not.
Yeah. Oh, with Brad Pitt? Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth saying. I think my first experience with that story was Troy.
I mean, if you're of about our age, of course it is.
And then I was like, wait, this is based on a book, and then I picked it up and I was like, that's a pretty tough book, actually. Like, I'm a pretty good reader, but that's a pretty tough book. I'm going to need a minute.
I remember, and I don't think I like this movie, but I remember seeing Beowulf, being like, I should read Beowulf, and then picking it up and being like, I'm not going to read Beowulf.
Wait, this?
No fucking way. At least not at that age.
Yeah. I was not quite prepared. So, I can't, I'm so excited for The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. Could give a shit about the interesting takes that he has or otherwise on armor and like people's complaints therein. It's Nolan. Dude, like, it's going to be great.
Come on. It's going to be good. And does it look a little bit like, I forget the name.
Does it look a little bit like I imagine Sun Eater sometimes? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Does it look like fantasy Batman? Like, but like, why wouldn't I watch that?
I absolutely would love a fantasy Batman. What do you mean?
Exactly. I'm pumped on it.
But to that point, like, that's kind of the deal here is it's like, oh man, Greeks bearing gifts, like a lot of this. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So I cut you off just because I wanted to make a Trojan horse joke.
Oh no, I also think, even looking at my notes here, I think that the topic expanded and that was a complete thought. And then the next one was Hadrian convinces Brux that the man manning the docks of the providence of their journey before continuing the scheme. This is our introduction to Brux, of whom ends up being kind of an obstacle in the way at the very least. But he's friendly, right? This is our sort of heist nature of things where it's like, oh, okay, buddy, we're gonna be good here, right?
Yeah, you're like heisting your friends.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm going back. I know it's going to be a sad time when I'm gone. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, I can't remember if this is the spot where this is talked about. It's in this general section. I don't know if like this is the exact spot.
Fire away.
But there's that section where Hadrian's talking about like his expectations whenever Valka uses her scary tech and how he's like expecting the offstage lightning sound and stuff. And I love that like kind of breakdown of like he still thinks she's a witch for having Wi-Fi, but
being networked.
It's
right.
It's so fun to see a few times in this section. Well, this section and the next one we'll talk about.
Actually, the next 3, but yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean like this episode and the next episode we'll have some sections that we talk about this, where it's so interesting to see that even like 40 years later or whatever. I mean, he spent a lot of that on ice, but Hadrian still has a lot of like chantry based imperial superstitions around forbidden tech, and we definitely see that later whenever he gets to March Station. But we see that here too, somewhere around this section with Valko, where like she goes into the network and he's like, I think she's a witch.
Yeah. I think a lot of that happens. I mean, a lot of it happens between these chapters, right? Variously. And he kind of continues forward, telling them to go forward and continue doing what they're doing. As like Jinan shouts him down, basically being like, "Hey, what's up, babe?" You know, kind of a thing with Lysander Lynn there next to her, being like, "Yeah, we're inspecting things. It's going well." Hadrian does his best to like smoothly lie, but they clearly aren't smooth enough. And so this ends up, as he confers with Lysander, effectively being a breakup conversation with Jinan, a one-sided one that she's unaware of, with all of his verbiage, thoughts, and otherwise. Eventually they will go on, and Lysander actually feels shame at his choice here to like break them up as well, as he notes that like, I mean, it is kind of my fault, that I do feel bad about that as a person, and he takes that on, which is, I mean.
And I guess this is that scene in the hallway that I was talking about earlier, where he walks away from this moment. It's all a bit jumbled.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it is nice to see Lysander like having more than just forgotten country, you know.
Right.
Like it's cool to see him have like a soul a little bit here. I'm excited, based on what's been said, to get to know more about Lysander, other than he's just a military tool bag. But like the breakup,
an acquaintance, my enemy, my last friend, you know, like,
yeah, exactly. Damn, good line.
Right.
Yeah, we mentioned the breakup with Jinan, me being like, sucks.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that the only thing that I get out of this, get out of the breakup, I should say, in this context, is that I appreciate the sort of the drama that's added in the way that the story is told this way, right? Like, I appreciate the way in which this is a one-sided breakup that she's unaware of, you know?
Yeah.
That, like, this is the end, in so many words.
It almost feels like it could be, I don't know if there already exists one, but it feels like there could be, like, an episode of Seinfeld where it's, like, a week later, and it's like, wait, did we break up? And then it's like, they're talking about it, and it's like, well, what did she say? You know? Like,
yeah.
And no one's sure if that was a breakup or not. So, yeah, but the one-sided breakup and him knowing he's about to like betray her, betray Lysander, betray his own friends and colleagues on this ship.
Right.
Going in. Yeah.
There's a lot of like immediate remorse, and like there's this moment where he looks upon her as she's like coming up. It's like, the tallness of her was like the last glass of wine in a lonely bottle. I drank her in and might have cried were it not for the hard captain with his flint-eyed gaze. You know, and for the record, I reread this section several times to try to figure out when Lysander Lynn was introduced to the scene here. And because I was like, wait, he just showed up, and it's that line. It's that line where I'm sucked into the rest of the prose so much as a description of her that I missed that he's there.
Damn. Yeah, I also was just like, because I only read it the once, like they were talking, and he's there. I'm like, have they been having this conversation in front of Lysander? All right. And then I just kind of like didn't think too much about it.
Yeah. I was lost. I actually flipped back through those pages, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times this afternoon, like doing the notes for that particular section yesterday, actually. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Was lost in that. But yeah, a great little line. That's it. So Hadrian kisses her. They separate. She says, "Mirkal, I love you, my beautiful, my darling," etc. Older Hadrian reflects to round out the chapter on the strangeness of the mind. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. If we exchange more words, I cannot recall them. In my mind, I simply turn and enter the cubiculum. I have no memory of the long walk up the hall, nor the cares I must have taken to ensure I was not followed. Strange what the mind abridges, strange what it retains, and stranger what it invents, mythologizes. This is then referenced later on the ship that you had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But
it would be not nearly, it wouldn't be very good, but I'd be curious how long this entire series is if you just take out Hadrian waxing poetic. Like if it was just the actual story.
Probably 1,000 pages in total.
It would
It
would not be very good, but I mean, it would be fine. It would be like a fine fantasy or sci-fi series, but it's much, much better this way. But it is funny sometimes whenever we move into a section and I'm like, oh, he's revving up. Here we go.
oh, this is about to be one of those paragraphs. Okay, got it.
It's like someone sat Hadrian down and they're like, you can leave the room when you tell your story. And he keeps getting distracted by thoughts.
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying to explain this to someone else in the room with me, buddy.
Like I want the end of this story to like we find out that the reason he's writing this is it is like his like official report of like it's supposed to be like this happened, Gododin.
Yeah, right. He's like, and let me tell you the trouble I got with my hospital and really yeah.
Just the most tired and over this fucking detectives in the room, just like, please stop. Yeah. So then what happened? And he's like, well, then I pondered the idea of obedience and how it relates to my situations and changes over time.
He's a poison. Grief is deep water.
He keeps doing Gibson voice, and they're like, why are you doing a voice?
He goes, vah, vah, into the
like, okay, we get, so the alarm turned on, we gather.
Yeah. Well, this is the first critical detail I've needed to take down this whole time.
The alarm.
Yeah. You set off an alarm. Got it. That's a crime.
Got
cool.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, this is one of those sections where now that I'm getting a little bit more used to the writing, like the first book, I was definitely like, all right, where are we going with this? How much... Now that I'm like used to kind of the patterns and the flow of this book, whenever he starts going, I'm like, oh, we're gonna
slipping back in.
We're gonna take 2 paragraphs and drop a banger at the end, probably. Let's go.
Got it. Ready? Okay. And that's where I need to pay attention.
Oh, all right, yeah. No, the 2 paragraphs, I'm paying attention. They're great.
But I know, but like the moment where you're like, oh, that's the line. That's my banger moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
You're like, ooh, all right, yummy.
Yummy. Keeping that forward tomorrow. Leftovers. I did want to mention, you brought it up a little bit, where like the end of the story. I have actually finished the 7th book now.
Hey,
which I was kind of on like a hard pause for a hot second, not for any particular reason, just because life was crazy.
Life's been weird. Yeah,
led to our like recording schedule being funky and everything else. So
let me take we're 2 weeks out from Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that was half a year ago.
It feels like 2 months ago at least. Like it feels like I was in Asheville. I was across the state,
Yeah, New York was not this year. For sure. Couldn't have been.
Right. I feel you. Especially because I'm going to New York next week. So like
goes you should check out one of my favorite breweries there.
Which one?
KCBC.
What's that stand for?
Kings County Brewing Collective.
Nice. Wow, that sounds really cool.
Not brewing company, for sure.
You would think that it would be brewing company.
What I would have said at all. I would never have said that.
Right. You would have never said that because you'd never be wrong.
Yeah, it's super cool. The area it's in is it's in Bushwick. It's in Bushwick.
Yeah, right. That's a cool name.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that place,
No, I didn't live there for a year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I'm going to some place called Neversink. We'll see. It's a whole thing.
All right.
Yeah,
it's either a scuba diving convention or like a bathroom renovation convention, but
it's both less weird and weirder than either of those things, and I will tell you more at a later date.
Sounds good. Now introducing the Never Sink. It's never on, but it's always wet.
Yes, it sounds about right, honestly.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
More right than you'd think, and both less correct than it could possibly be. Yeah. That said, The Tomb is a great chapter. The doctor, of course, Atayoya. I always forget her name, and she said she's here all the time. She is one of these characters that I should not be forgetting the name of, honestly.
I got nothing. I know there's a doctor.
Okoyo.
Yes.
So Dr. Okoyo begins the process of waking up Tannerin, and we get like this kind of really great explanation, I think, of the TX9 and the way that they're sort of woken up from fugue.
Kind of like cycle in the blood, warming the body slowly out with the TH9. You got to drain the suspension fluid. I think it's really like well described and making me feel like I understand how this could theoretically work.
I think it's like the best description of something like this ever. And I've read a lot of science fiction.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm so used to science fiction, like movies and TV shows, right? And usually you just go in a pod and then it goes and it gets really foggy. And then we just have to accept that that's what's going on. I like that this is a process. It is a medical process that you have to undergo. Like, it is a procedure. And I love like the moment where they're like, yeah, I mean, he's alive. I don't know if I can keep him that way. Like, they're dealing with completely like alien physiology. They don't know how he's going to react. So there's like a nice suspense to this moment.
They don't even know if this was a good idea to begin with or what they do. And they assume that this is how they travel. So they must be used to something like this. And I will say in the next week's episode, we get a confirmation that no. What the fuck is
I'm
this?
excited to talk about that.
Yeah. So there is a general fear that it may not be successful, of course, like you mentioned. Tannerin is, of course, confused when he wakes up out of this cask that he feels kind of pulled out of. And there's a lot of like, there's some Frankenstein again pulled here in a section. We get a little bit of a reference back previously to other conversations that have happened that are adjacent to Frankenstein that have happened already in this week's book. We've got a very gothic vibe, in this book in general so far, I would say. But Tannerin believes that he's about to be taken to be tortured because like that's the last time that someone individually was separated from the back here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I kind of like his response to. I'm trying to remember the exact words, but he's like, "You take me to hurt me now," basically. Like,
yeah, effectively.
He's not like coming out swinging. He's just like, "No, you woke me up to torture." Okay, man, there's like a few specific things in this section that I really loved that I'm like kind of blanking on now. But the scene of him like kind of waking up, being in that like fugue state, confusion, Hadrian kind of helping ground him. I don't know.
He's like, did you find
so
my master?
Yeah, it feels, and I keep saying this, but like it's so like easy to hallucinate too, like it's so easy to picture. There's a lot in this book that I think so far, more so than the first one, is just written in a way that isn't overly descriptive, but is very vivid. And this is one of those scenes with waking up Tannerin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's interesting because he does also flirt with the line of still like the same sort of purpley prose, right? Like he does both now, but manages to also constrain himself on the one side in such a way that it's never too much. It never leads to like droning that you had said before. You didn't call it droning. I'm calling it droning from that perspective, but like where you would kind of get into the rhythm, right?
I'll definitely say like this book still has moments where I'm like, oh, and here we go.
Yeah, right.
But for the most part, like I think that a lot of the drifting in and out of kind of remembrance and poeticism and like the philosophy of life and everything that we get kind of sprinkled throughout fits so much more comfortably within the story rather than like, here's a story and now we're going to talk about the idea of art, and then here's a story. Then we're going to discuss the concept of death.
And then we're going to talk about my grandma fucking getting buried. And we were all there and it sucked.
Have you ever had to carry weird stuff at your grandma's funeral? And I'm like, organs? I thought we were talking about alien fishers, but
yeah. Before there was a tentacle monster in that scene.
That was
ago.
inside of you.
Yeah, right.
and now we're talking about grandma's funeral. Okay.
Speaking about messed up visuals, filled with milk of pity and guilt.
I didn't like that. I just didn't actually like that. Like every
Actually,
now and then he
me.
says, yeah, every now and then he says some stuff, and I'm like, I get what you're going for. I don't like that.
I do appreciate. I'm with you. I also do not like that. Like it's good writing. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, no. I distinctly understand what you're saying, but it is offensive because you want it to be, and I hate that. Yeah. I hate that you nailed me so cleanly.
The milk of pitying. There's so many things that could have not been milk.
Yeah. Right. This guy is white, pale white. The blood is black. There's like a lot of
yeah. Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Yeah, he's good at that. He's got those nailed in though. Like he knows.
He wrote the sour milk of pity and guilt, and he's like, "Well, that's too far. It can't be sour milk."
Yeah, right. We got to step it back just a little bit. No, it can't be the chunky milk either, man. What can I do? Chunky milk of pity.
The warm milk of pity and guilt. Now it seems too nice. Okay, hold on.
I don't know. I don't think warm milk's nice at all.
No. I know people warm up milk and then make hot cocoa out of it.
Right. Or cocoa. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Hadrian would not like the hot coffee.
No,
that's
I don't think Hadrian likes beverages. Well, wine. He likes wine.
Yeah, wine and water, maybe.
He tolerates water.
Yeah. He doesn't even like whiskey equivalent spirits. He doesn't like spirits that much.
No.
Yeah.
He doesn't like coffee and he doesn't like tea.
Mm-hmm.
He
reaffirms his distaste for tea this week.
Yeah.
Or next week, rather. But yeah.
Yep. All right. Sorry.
So they begin to escort Teneran out, of course, in a scene that almost feels like the Beast being walked around in a cloak out of like Beauty and the Beast or something. It's very odd. A technician sees him, so they start hurrying, stunning people along the way with like their Star Trek ass stun lasers, which is great, of course. And good guy Switch even makes sure that they're laying comfortably because like he doesn't want to hurt these people. No one wants to hurt these people.
I
so he, like,
love him
kicks out the
guy's leg.
Yeah, right. What a good scene. What a good moment.
I love the moment too within that moment. Sorry if we had to keep going a little bit, but whenever Switch fixes the leg, well, first off, just all around in that scene, there's that moment where like stunning them. I think it's noted that like Hadrian notices Tanaran's disgust that like people are shooting people like they're against each other and as well, and then Switch fixes the leg, and then he like references back to that like it's a tragedy that men this good should live lives at war, basically. I don't remember the exact wording, but
the kind of same idea that he expressed before where it's like you have such a...
It was his whole argument of why this mission is so important, more so than the war. And it was a really cool little callback and reaffirmation. And Switch is the goodest of boys, and I didn't think he was going to survive the first book, so I'm happy he's here, but at every single turn of a corner, I think Switch is going to die. And I think he's been here long enough now that Chris will make me wait a little, so it hurts more. But just every single moment with Switch, I'm like, you're going to kill him now. And then he does it, and I'm like, oh, whew, all right, we got through.
We made it.
Basically, with all of these characters, we're juggling like 3 rocks and an egg, and I'm just hoping someone else drops.
But they're all painted like eggs, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know which is which, and we're tossing them back and forth, and I'm like, I know Switch is in here, and I know that egg's gonna crack at some point. But like,
my little red-haired egg.
Yeah. My little red-haired egg. He says stuff like, that's just how it is, Hade.
Yeah. Can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Love Switch.
Love him so much. There's a little bit of like interesting pontificating that happens right around this point that I actually find completely profound and so accurate. Way to go, Chris. Once again, like the milk thing. Have you just kidding. But have you ever walked by night for the first time in a place too familiar to you by the day? Have you felt the darkness and the light of stars and moons transmute that comfortable place into somewhere threatening and strange?
Such a good line, because I think that's such a, not even just like person to person, that's like an inherently biologically like exact experience that I think everybody has to some degree. Maybe not one you think about very much, like but you know that feeling whenever that's happened. For me, I've thought about that exact feeling kind of a lot in my life, because I have found that I love being somewhere at night that I have been in the day, or being somewhere in the day that I've been at night. But I not hate, but there's just this sense of dread that I get being somewhere at post sunset, very late dusk. That I'm not used to that at. Whenever the sun is like gone and night is coming, I seriously feel a sense of dread for no reason in places where I'm not used to being there at that time. So this hits in a this hits in a way where I was like, whoa, other people feel that? And then I was like, yeah, it's probably like a biological, like, okay, go back to the cave now, bad things are coming out feeling. Right. They're like, hey, tigers can see in the dark, you can't go to bed.
Right. They know where you are, you cannot sleep, you are not allowed, illegal.
It's I love that line, because it's just something that, like, more often than I probably should, because I got mad anxiety, have like thought about that concept of like, why do I feel that way at late dusk? I shouldn't, because I'm in La Jolla, which that won't mean anything to anybody outside of San Diego, but that's like the only reason I should be worried in La Jolla is in case anybody finds out I'm not rich, and they'll probably fucking kill me. But it's just the richest, whitest neighborhood that I hate being in, but I work there. Yay!
I am there. It's just such a clever way of saying something that I think is like a shared anxiety. It's a cultural anxiety. This is the sort of description that I hear from a lot of female friends of whom feel unsafe at night in places that they feel fine at during the day. Like, this is that feeling materialized, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because, like, you bring up, like, having heard that or experienced that with female friends, and I think that has almost a more tangible, threatening feeling to it. Like, it's interesting being in my own backyard. I can still get that feeling at dusk sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Or like at night, and I think that's like
an innocuous
so
dread.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's a dread that is completely unreasonable.
And this book has a lot of dread in it in general thus far.
This book is why I'm thinking maybe Mike Flanagan. It feels like we could do a 1-2 punch and just shift it a little, and it would be full blown horror.
It gets close. It gets close.
Yeah, and Mike Flanagan's really good about setting up a storyline that you want to hear about, and then doing a flashback where people monologue about the concepts of life. So it could work.
Yeah, he could do it. If anyone could fit those monologues seamlessly in, it's him.
Exactly.
If you want someone to unseamlessly do it, to lack the finesse, but to still put them in there, Zack Snyder is there.
Dude,
our dude bro of filmmaking.
I would hate it, but I would love
I would hate to love it. You know what I mean?
I would love to hate
it.
Be into Zack Snyder's Sun Eater. Like, can you imagine just like how much more time we would have spent in the Colosso in slow-mo with electric guitars a wailing
in the Colosso? Yeah. We would have skipped Howling Dark entirely. We would have gone straight to Demon and White.
Can you just imagine how fucking shredded Hadrian would be in that version.
And Crispin would be huge. He would be big.
My God. And yeah, sure.
And Hadrian would still be wearing 15? Yeah.
Hadrian would still be wearing his long-tailed coats, but no shirt underneath ever.
Right. Gerard Butler is like 15. You're telling me that Gerard Butler is Crispin and he's 15 years old? For real? We're de-aging his face for some reason?
It's just Hadrian being like, we have to get this Yeltsin back over to the ship. And they're like, we have orders. What can I do? And Hadrian's like, what can you do? That would be the whole fucking movie.
Sad. Finally, we kind of get to the end of this moment within the halls as he's kind of pushing his way forward. We're confronted by Lieutenant Alessandro Hanas, one of the Jodians aboard the ship, along with 6 other Jodians that seem to have them dead to rights as far as them escaping, before Alara, Volca, and Polino show up to sort of save the day in the moment with these old gladiatorial boys being like, you're not going to keep us away from you. Fuck you. As the voix begin.
Yeah, we love I'm going to Mordor alone. Of course you are, and I'm coming with you moment,
Yeah.
And we also love like a last second saved by the person you didn't think was coming. I mean, it is a Deus Ex Machina. It's not.
This isn't necessarily. There's enough setup there that we knew that Valkyrie was coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a nice reveal. It's a nice reveal that she like went and got Polino. We're here now.
A full Deus Ex would be like a transport hit the side of the ship in the moment where we had no idea what the transport is. A lot of people have accidentally or incidentally trained us to believe that Deus Ex Machina is something that is potentially within the character's reach that could just randomly happen. That's not Deus Ex. Deus Ex is something external happening.
Completely external. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to like have that like Polino's here.
Yeah.
Right. Very cool little moment. It's a fist pump while reading moment, I think. So.
Oh, for sure. It feels so good. And as he's addressing Hanas, I took this line down. Sir, I'm taking the Cielson to its leader. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I realized the cliche they contained, but I set my jaw all the same.
Take me to your leader.
Now, I don't know if it actually is a cliche, and I question whether, like, obviously, like, the take me to your leader thing is a cliche, but taking him to his leader, is that like a temporal miscommunication? You know what I mean?
Right. And like, I don't know. The take me to your leader being a cliche thing does kind of feel like a jump out of the character, and it's like a little too much of a within our world modern reference. But like, I don't know what made it and didn't.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it isn't. It isn't that reference, because if it were take me to your leader, he wouldn't have called it a cliche. He wouldn't have called that out for the thought that it was. He's saying, I'm taking them to their leader. That feels like the cliche, and it's like, oh, is that what you think the old Earth cliche was?
Right, like it's
faded over time. Yeah. Take me to my leader, not take you to my leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Aliens say stuff like take me home tonight, I think.
Yeah. Take me home. I don't want to. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. It was something like that. I think a leader was involved. There's a leaderboard for how many people get taken home.
A leaderboard for sure.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it is. I do also think that, like, I've mentioned this a little bit already, but Hadrian really does start to aura farm throughout this book. He's funnier than he was in the first book for sure. He's developed more. Like, he had a personality. Don't let me fully besmirch his character by saying he didn't.
No. I talk way too much shit on Hadrian. I like him as a character a lot.
Yeah.
He's a great character. He's got personality. He's definitely.
But he gains so much more in this book as far as like characterization goes, of like, okay, I can see myself liking this guy, you know, beyond like the ideas of the story and everything else being interesting.
It reminds me of, if you can think back, if you could really dig way back to like fresh out of high school, college area.
Rand?
You know, like way back. So when we were
wee lads,
17, 18. Yeah. I'm calling us old.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I know.
Like 16, 17, 18 years old.
So half my life ago. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Did you have any friends that you were like, they are cool people, but there's something that like is super annoying about them, or just like really, really kind of dumb and naive. And then they get their first job, and like 3 months in, you're like, there you go. Like all of a sudden they're better people a little bit because they've like experienced.
Unfortunately, I think I was that friend, but that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I was working. I was literally doing jobs since I was like 12 years old, child labor, baby. You know, so I just had friends, and I'm like, you guys don't even know what it's like to be in a warehouse stacking boxes. You know? My dad was a delivery truck driver, and he would go at like 3 a.m. to load the truck, and he definitely brought me and my brother to help.
So, it's like, I'll babysit kids, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I got him. All right, load the fucking truck, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like whenever you're around people who like have had very healthy lives with no real like outside experience, and then they get their first job, and all of a sudden they develop personalities. It kind of feels like that with Hadrian in this book. Like the first book was him getting his first job, and then like now we're 40 years after he got that first job, and he like has a personality, and he kind of understands who he is a little bit more, and he's more enjoyable to be around.
Yeah, he's really getting into it. quite a bit more here on the whole. So it's great. It's great. He feels warm. He feels exciting. He's still, biologically, he's still in his late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So like he's not too far off, but
no, but
I know what you're saying from like a time perspective. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a
instead
big
of
change.
Training with Gibson or being taught about the concept of leadership from his dad or anybody else. He's actually been like out there doing stuff in a company, having to learn to like interact with people, having to like actually find the reasons we do this and how we accomplish it, and finding joy in
practicality,
success. Exactly. Yeah. Like, and I think that really starts in the Colosso for him, because everything between the beginning of the first book and the Colosso is just like a shit show of him barely existing. But it's cool to see like it's come full circle to have more of a personality. And I'm sorry, you're gonna have to edit out that weird half burp while I'm talking.
Nah, it's fine.
Or just leave it in. The people need to know.
It's just like the silent mouthing that I was doing earlier, which is exactly what Volka does to Hadrian here, which is such a fun thing where Hadrian goes, "Thank you," and silently mouths it at her, and that's just like that is that type of like thing that I'm looking for, to some degree.
Yes. Yeah. Like Hadrian is actually it definitely gives the feeling that they've like been out there doing shit. Right. There's camaraderie now that like is just really nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't think Hadrian and Valka are currently on very good terms from the subtleties of everything else, but it's cool to still see like that camaraderie, that like depth of relationship that he has with her and with everyone else.
Yeah, they're definitely still friends, without a doubt.
Yeah.
That said, the breaking of the company we can move into here. They continue racing down the halls, passing more and more folks on their way as Volka continues working her way through the machines. Like you'd mentioned earlier, this sort of continues. We get a bit more of like details on the chantry here as a part of like her and like Hadrian's offense that he's kind of taking to what she's doing, or like lack of understanding in many ways, and the world's relationship with them. We aren't completely devoid of them, but we want to avoid thinking machines at all possible. Right? Like there are machines out there that can be interfaced with, obviously, but the plebeians have like cars, and the cars don't have machines in them.
Yes. God, sorry. I grabbed the book while you were talking about that because there's a line in this chapter that I love so much. And it's like, is it there in the notes? I'm like, no, all right, that's okay.
Maybe not. Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, also like that was an interesting thing that I hadn't really thought about, and then it made me think back to like the chapter Maidwa in the first book. It's like, yeah, I guess we don't really hear about like cars.
Mm-hmm. Streetcars.
The plebeians still have streetcars and motorcycles, and like this ancient like that'd almost be the equivalent of like someone riding a horse to work, which does still happen. It's just not something you think about very much. Like
right. The lower castes are just so removed from the upper castes.
Yeah, like the technology of the lower castes of this world, 15,000 years past the Americanii revolution, so who knows how far from where we are currently, I think is stated specifically somewhere in like the next section or something.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, we got a timeline, 15,000 years. From whenever humanity was decimated by the Americanii. But
right.
It's interesting to think like 15,000 years later, like people are using like automotive vehicles, which of course you're like, yeah, it's the wheel. We've always used the wheel. We'll keep using the wheel. It's a way to make the wheel go that's easy. But it is like interesting to kind of think about the separation of that, and how like the lower caste is basically operating in the technology that we are today.
What that means is that
very
like,
little difference.
The abundance of materials have made it such that like we could provide at scale, for like lower classes of people, and or potentially like providing those benefits might enable them in such a way that it would turn them into monsters and machines that could fight back against it. Yeah.
There was a line from Alistair way back in the first book that I definitely don't remember the specifics of, but it's like they can't be made to think that they deserve to revolt.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, this chapter.
No, it's a good thing to bring up here. I really love, for whatever reason, the depiction that happens here when Siren fires on one of the people. Twice Siren fired at an armed legionnaire, reducing them to a ragdolled puddle of limbs dribbling sleepily down the walls, which is the best description that I've ever read of someone getting stunned or like being knocked out ever. Like,
it definitely makes me think of like the ragdoll emulators where
entirely
people go flying.
Right.
Like, it's so good. Yeah.
Ragdoll puddle of limbs dribbling sleepily down the walls. Yeah, just like
it's yeah. For some reason I picture it doing like the Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
arm flailing.
The elbow got locked in a weird glitch and just keeps doing this, you know? Yeah.
But yeah, man, I it's weird that I like puddle of limbs dribbling sleepily down the walls, but I don't like milky pity.
If it were a puddle of limbs and it were bloody, you might feel different too.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess if he was like reducing them to a ragdoll puddle of milky limbs dribbling down the walls, then I wouldn't like that.
Ooh.
I just think we don't need to introduce milk to the situation.
Less
ever.
milk is actually more, I think.
Yeah, I think we could do less milk, more dribbles.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Horrifying concept.
Jesus. All right.
So making it back to the docking bay, we run back into Brux, and he demands that Lord Marlowe, of course, put down his weapons as the group of Colosso fighters manage to take down his men, kind of working their way around the room. They're fighting back. Brux points out that the only people that he's really hurting here with his actions is his friends, forgetting what they'd done on the whole, and kind of dealing with the idea of like the Empire's punishment system. At worst, he would get the white sword and be decapitated. Meanwhile, his friends are going to be hung, almost guaranteed, just for even.
And
helping.
he says like hung at best, basically. Like, and yeah, that this is that I think that's kind of a brutal moment where there's somewhat of a realization, but also he kind of shrugs it off to a degree of like the things he asks of his friends. In his mind, he's asking them to do these things, but he's also risking it, so it's okay. But at the end of the day, like it comes back to those privileges Hadrian doesn't realize he still has. He's like, no, but I'm like, not really Palatine. You know, I don't have any of the money or station. I'm like, you're still Palatine though. Like the risks you take in any given moment are so much less than the risks Switch or Polino take. You know, like there's still that separation where he doesn't fully realize the level of like Palatine privilege that he carries with him just by existing within like the genetic framework that he does, you know. So
yeah, there's a little bit of that we'll specifically talk about later with Volca in the next episode, that I think is another like heavy dose of like reality.
And he does mention that on Volca here as well, I believe, where it's like, well, Volca will be the only one who's probably fine because she's like
right, yeah,
she's
a Tavrosi national. She's a part of the government.
So they'll just send her back to Tavros, which isn't great. So she has even more of that kind of like freedom of movement. But yeah, it is interesting to see these moments where Hadrian, especially in this one, because it's not Hadrian that puts the connection together. It's not Hadrian being like, we have to get out of here because like I'll be maybe decapitated, but my friends will be tortured and then hung.
Brux throws
someone else
face.
has to bring it up, and he's like, oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Hadn't even thought about it. Hadn't
even thought about it. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those interesting things when you read a story from the perspective of a rich boy, you know.
Right, exactly. He doesn't understand the consequences of speeding, you know, for everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like, yeah, what? I get a ticket.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so
he does drop a ship though at the man, which does ultimately crush a couple of the other people underfoot, which is kind of crazy. Drops one of the Sparrowhawks.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of an advanced maneuver based off the classic cutting the chandelier.
Yeah, basically the same move.
Yeah, dropping the piano in a cartoon. So we love that. Also, theoretically, he just crushed a bunch of his friends. Could have.
Yeah. I mean, definitely crushed people that he was working with a week ago, you know?
Yeah, coworkers for sure. Yeah. Which, hey, you know, I've got a few that I would probably drop a ship on.
Yeah, for sure. That I would definitely drop a piano on.
Yeah,
they'd survive.
At least an anvil.
Yeah,
they just get a really big bump.
And some piano tees for Keith.
Piano Keith Fatih.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I meant. I meant what I said. What I meant.
Did someone drop a piano on you, Cross?
Ooh, dude, it feels like that today. Let's be honest.
Sometimes you just get some piano teeth for Keith.
True. So then Bassander Lin shows up behind him on the catwalk, pissed off, and they draw their high matter blades for a duel. Hadrian eventually scores blood and calls it out, hoping to like end the duel just on that alone. But obviously, like that's a Palatine thing, that's a duel specific thing. This is not what that is. This is military, and doesn't wish this man dead. Tries to call it off. He has a chance to kill him, obviously doesn't take it. Bassander gets back ground and headbutts him so hard that he thinks of Sir Felix congratulating Crispin on a move well done. He's teleported back in time.
Very good.
Yeah.
This section is the line that I definitely wanted to talk about, but didn't have time to put in the notes. So as our introduction to Bassander starts just with him calling Hadrian's name.
Mm-hmm.
And right here, Hadrian! The voice slashed across my impression of the eye, buried by and yet somehow louder than the constant bleeding of the alarm. Right here, this part, I was fucking in the grocery store, like, I gotta go somewhere. Rarely does the universe match my capacity for drama. Rarely is not never. Bassander Lin stood alone on the catwalk behind me, blocking my way back to the pylon. I think that's so fucking good. Like, he calls out his name, he turns, and there he is on the pylon, like, alarms blaring, red lights, I assume cloaks a whipping.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Rarely is the universe as dramatic as me. Rarely is not never. And this is one of those moments. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, and he just calls back to him, and it's like, wow, these two dudes dueling. We get our lightsaber duel that we've never got. Yeah,
yeah, the whole time I was reading, I was like, exactly. So,
whole duel of fates. Ha ha ha.
So, I love it. I also love in this fight, Switch does come in clutch with basically saving Hadrian's ass at the end, and then
shoots him in the back.
Yeah, whenever Hadrian takes the sword, he's like, I believe this is mine. The thought of like, well, I think technically it switches, but I'm being petty.
Right. I'm definitely just being petty here.
Yeah, and he just totally admits. He's like, I'm being petty. I know this will piss him off, but yeah, this is probably Switch's sword.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so brutal to also cut his hand off. You know what I mean? Like when Switch shoots him, he has to take the moment, obviously the advantage in the moment. It does feel like that also points out that Bassander is actually probably the better sword fighter in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like he is actually the better duelist. I think that...
I don't think Bassander's the better duelist. I think he's the better fighter.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, Hadrian gets first blood. Hadrian,
right. Fair point.
Hadrian could win a duel, but Hadrian trained to duel.
Yeah,
Bassander
not to fight.
Trained to kill.
Right. Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's a great comparison and good to bring up in context. I don't think that changes my overall on this, though, which is that, like, Hadrian would have never won this had it not been for Switch.
Right.
And then he takes the extra blow, and he does so much more because Switch gave him the advantage, including pummeling the man physically with his fists after cutting his hand off.
Which is interesting to hear so close after his comparison to him and Crispin.
Yeah, right.
Then taking the time to pummel... Yeah. Well, but it's also what he did to Crispin last time he saw him.
Right. Is
pummel the shit out of him once he was already on the ground, you know?
Beat a man while he's down.
Good old beat a man while he's down, Hadrian. That's what they call him.
that is what they call him actually now.
Yeah. You really blow up a guy's son while he's down.
Our boy. Our sun blowing boy, Hadrian.
Sun blowing boy. Let's not maybe do that.
That's
one.
Actually it. He's got to blow that sun one day,
Hey, there's a sun, and at some point this guy's going to have to blow it.
He will blow that sun. I've seen it.
You watched him blow that sun?
Well, no, I read about it. He put it in
just read
it. Right. I guess I heard
but it was vividly described.
The son and him knew each other.
Well,
Biblically.
yeah, he keeps bringing up the son he's gonna blow one day, and I can't wait to know who it is.
To clarify, this is an SUN, not an SON. We just want to make sure for the record, the history books.
I've been listening. I'm not sure.
I mean, fair point. Man, fuck. I got a quote. I'll segue us back. It was enough. Yeah. Calling to mind Crispin and the Ameshi gladiators both, I rose, and it was Hadrian the boy who rose with me, and Haed the Myrmidon, and together with the man I was, we three slashed Visander's sword hand from his wrist and plunged forward, cracking his own nose with the heel of her hand. And then they three continue to pummel him in this moment. What an interesting, description.
Yeah. They really jumped this guy.
Yeah, that one Hadrian that is three really drums the guy.
Yeah. I'll be so real. Like, reading this, I had to go back and I'm like, so him, Valka, and Switch just start fucking curb stomping him? And then I went back and I'm like, okay, no, it's
metaphorically
the three of us. And I'm like, okay, you're doing a lot here, Hadrian. You're like the Holy Trinity of Hadrian.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I was genuinely confused on my first run through and had to back it up a little, because he was like, I don't want to kill the guy, so I cut off his hand, and me and my two friends started kicking the shit out of him, is how I read it the first time, and I was like, whoa, that is killing the guy. That's so much worse. Just cut out. You just said that getting your head cut off is not as bad as getting tortured, and now you're curb stomping three-way this guy, and then I reread it and I was like, okay, no, you still pummeled him after cutting off his hand while he was down. That's fucked up. But
yeah, I also love the note. We haven't necessarily fully explored high matter, right? And as we assume it powers on, it's used. We joked that it's lightsaber adjacent. Lightsabers cauterize. High matter blades cut through atoms. Yeah.
Yeah, and also one thing I'm not completely sure about, because we know about a lot of the advanced medicine that exists in this world, but because mechanical prosthetics aren't necessarily allowed, I don't know what the process of reattaching that hand or getting a new hand or having a hand is going to be for Visander.
Hadrian does say just get them to reattach it, Medica, to him.
Okay.
So
yeah, so it's at least it's not a permanent removal of the hand.
Yeah,
in
it's
Red Rising, people get shit caught off all the time, and they're all right, I'll just go get another one.
Right.
But yeah, still gnarly. Still not good. But it's more adjacent to smashing someone's phone. Now I gotta go.
A little more
T-Mobile.
brutal because you could bleed out and die. But yeah,
that
sure,
sucks.
right, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's it's like smashing someone's phone when they really needed to call an ambulance.
Yeah. Dropping in the river when they're drowning. You know what I mean? They're drowning and you threw it in the river. But very specific circumstance. Don't worry about it.
Sounds like experience.
Who would do such a thing?
Who would do that? No, I love this whole fight. It's super cool to get a chance to see high matter in action. There's also a line about how every time Hadrian's used this high matter sword up to this point, there's been zero resistance. So this is the first time he's used it where strength is actually a factor, because high matter against high matter actually affects things.
Yeah.
Matters. Hey, it highly matters. It's a cool ass duel.
Sick ass duel.
In the first fifth of the book.
Just right.
They're like, hey, do you guys want robot zombies and then a heist and then a sick ass duel with lightsabers? And then after that, we're gonna drop you in a Blade Runner city, and then we're gonna do some
a second Blade Runner city,
second Blade Runner city, but it's even more Blade Runner-y kind of.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get to meet some robots, and then this whole couple of sections, which that jumps ahead of what we're talking about right now. I get that, but this whole book so far from the beginning is just delivering on a lot of shit, which I wasn't expecting based on the first book, which I did enjoy, but definitely didn't have as much of a
you had more of a lead-up expectation. The first book led you to believe that it was going to take a while for things to pay off.
Yeah, and this is like a lot, and it's sick.
Yeah, right. I did and have compared this to Golden Sun in a lot of ways. And when you understand Golden Sun, that sounds like I'm talking about the end of that book, and I'm not talking about the end of that book. I'm talking about the beginning, actually,
100%.
because there's a lot in the beginning of that novel.
Yeah, you have like the end of the fucking war. Well, I guess we can't talk about it.
Yeah,
but
we won't talk about spoilers, but you get like there are like 3 big events that happen all of a sudden, all in a row
before the story even kicks off in the first, like, I don't know, 20 chapters of that book. And this definitely has. I've been thinking about Golden Sun a lot in this, and I think that I've seen a lot of people who are like, I see a lot of comparisons between Red Rising and Sun Eater, and I don't get it. They're so different.
Oh yeah,
like,
they
don't
starkly
scratch
different.
the same itch. And I agree, but at the same time, I definitely understand like the comparisons, because there's like it does feel like Golden Sun right now. But it doesn't feel like Golden Sun, but it feels like the Golden Sun to Empire of Silence is Red Rising, if that makes sense. Like it feels like a different series entirely, but the feeling from one book to the next is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So that said, leaving the duel in the past, we then go to the end here, which we've already talked a little bit about, but he thanks Switch, his oldest friend, as they make their way to the ship, for Jinan to be there as the lift begins to pull up the ramp. I'm mixing words again. The lift, the ramp begins to pull up.
With the teeth,
and she shoots him 3 times. As it kind of goes through and gets him once solidly in the shoulder and says, "I loved you," as we kind of end and leave her there.
2 scenes that this reminds me of. This is a little unhinged. One of them is from Golden Sun, but we can't talk about it.
Fair. Valid. I think I know what you're talking about.
Towards the end of Golden Sun.
Yes.
Pretty much at the very end of Golden Sun.
Right. That one for
There's
sure.
A slight reminiscence towards that scene that I got here,
Mm-hmm.
Though it is a different outcome and feeling. And the other one is unhinged as shit, and I cannot explain it. But for some reason, this scene made me think of when the lady with the snakes for hair in Monsters, Inc. is coming after Mike Wazowski in the hallway, but he's escaping with Boo. And she's like, "Michael Wazowski!" And he's like, "I love you, Schmoosey Boo!" And then they have to like go away where she can't follow, and then she gets tackled by... It's a wild pull. But it's towards the end.
That is a fucking bizarre pull. I'm not gonna lie.
But that, like, escaping with Tanaran, and then Janae,
I would have sooner said like Han Solo shooting in episode 4. Like there are other.
No, it's just so funny to me, like
the Mike Wazowski of it all.
Yeah, because it's like I think it's because of the Boo Tanaran like parallel.
Okay, all right. I see elements of it. I see elements of it.
That popped into my head, and I couldn't shake it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's where my brain is these days.
Oh, little lady snake.
Oh, little lady snake. Sushi? You think this is about sushi? I have to watch so many kids' movies every day. I'm sorry.
You do, actually. Okay, that actually makes this make way more sense. I was like, how did this...
I watch Monsters, Inc. every goddamn day.
Man, that's a private kind of hell. Like that's
you know?
Like
I like it. I like the movie.
Yeah, can you like it any longer? Are you do you like it more or less each time?
Every single kids movie I have to watch daily has like 1 or 2 lines in it that just like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing at work, it doesn't matter how my day's going, it's an involuntary response. I will say it out loud. So for Monsters Inc., it's sushi. You think this is about sushi? And every single movie just has a random one
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
My brain is not gonna last much longer here, guys. Send help. So
we're trying to counterbalance for the kids movies here with this incredibly highbrow science fiction series.
Yeah, it was giving highbrow science fiction and Encanto.
Encanto. That's all that's going on. Coco between my noggin.
Yeah, it's just like Coco the heroes, Encanto, Howling Dark. You know?
Dark Age and Hunchback of Notre Dame. Actually, that actually works a little bit.
Kind of works.
Hang on.
It's a lot of Hellfire.
Yeah, there's actually those line up.
Yeah. I mean, the Devils and Princess and the Frog kind of
similar, actually. Yeah. But if the voodoo guy was a good guy, kind of,
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, we're putting together a team, and he's like, "Are you ready?" Oh, God.
I did not remember that song until you sang that first note. And then I was like, "Oh shit, yeah."
Watch
no,
a lot of kids movies.
Yeah.
Hey, Disney, come at us.
We'll need to stick you on my sister's podcast.
What's her podcast?
She's got a Disney podcast.
Oh, yeah, sign me up. If it's one of the 10 movies we got, I got opinions.
Oh, I 100. Yeah, it's good. She's there. Okay. With that, our final chapter of the week, The Other Edge, for this episode, of course. We then cut forward 7 years. I do love the opening of this chapter, of course, beyond this sort of 7-year cut as it happens. Another segment of just solid prose from Hadrian, Christopher, giving both of them credit here all at once. As we describe kind of I believe it's the violet pulses of at warp space. At warp, space is a confusion of violets. The onrushing stars Doppler to azure and indigo become delicate fingers of light, transformed thence by the conturation of space-time to geometries without name. I stood upon the bridge of the Mistral, wrapped in a heavy blanket, still shuddering and fugue-sick, and watched the weft of the universe flex about us at 800 times the speed of light. That was only an illusion, of course. We moved not at all. We're buoyed in the bowl of space itself, carried as a gull is carried by the wave. And then he continues a little bit more further than that, but that's just solid little bit of prose about what warp space looks like, or like the idea of warp space. This isn't warp.
I really liked that prose, and then also had one of those moments where there's a few times in these books where I'm always like, I don't think I understand physics enough to know what you're talking about. I'm just picturing Star Wars warp speed. Yeah, but
How do I? Did you understand the Doppler that he was speaking of?
No.
Okay. Do you understand the Doppler effect in general with audio?
Not really.
So, audio sound, the wave takes time to travel right before it approaches you, right? Yeah. And so it sounds longer until it gets closer, then it sounds shorter, and then when it's moving the other way, it gets longer again, right? That's the Doppler effect. Same idea applies to every wave that exists in the spectrum of science and everything. So light is also affected by the Doppler effect if you're going fast enough against it, or if it's passing by you in such a way. So it would blur and drag as you're moving past it at different points. It
almost
would sharpen.
Like visual waveforms to a degree. Okay.
Exactly. So it would blur, sharpen, and then blur again the other direction. So almost like dim, sharpen, brighter, and then like you pass it, you lose it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Which isn't that different, for the record, than what is depicted in like Star Wars, but like they aren't doing it as closely.
There's
or like
really just
it.
lines rather than kind of the expansion and retraction. Okay.
Right. Which is more really what you would see.
I do always love to see how different medias portray like faster than light travel. So
this is closer to accurate as I would imagine it or depict it, like it's more adjacent.
Yeah. Every now and then this one, there's just like, I'm going to ask Cross about science.
I took a lot of physics, so like I know a good amount of that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. I took no physics. I think I took one physics class in college, like intro, and I passed, but like not well.
That's
and
good.
I was friends with the teacher before I took the class. That's probably like illegal or something. I don't know. But
I mean, PJ also has a physics degree and an engineering degree. So, if there are ever questions, we can submit them if we're debating, and he will give us an answer. He's also read the whole series.
I'll tell you that much. You tell me something, I'm going to smile and nod. But I do like learning about like these space things that have just never crossed my mind. So I have a communications degree and a fine arts photography degree. So, like, just let me know if you need either of those.
Very fast, sir. There was one other element that I wanted to talk about here. Oh, it wasn't about that specifically. PJ, for dear listeners who've been listening to the podcast for a long time, I wish to inform you, I did mention earlier in this episode that I finished the seventh book in the Sun Eater. I should also mention that PJ finished it, meaning that he read the entire series for the record in the time that I read the seventh book. PJ read all 7 books and the 3 novellas in the time that it took me to read just the 7th novel.
Did PJ beat you to the punch?
He finished the book 2 weeks before I did. Week and a half.
PJ read Sun Eater before you did.
He finished all of them before I finished just the 7th book. He read
Sun Eater before you did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He knew what happened at the end before I did.
How does it feel?
So,
how the turntables.
I mean, not only that, but like, oh my God, you did the whole fucking thing in like
so
3
much.
months? Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
God damn.
Yeah.
It's because you've been teasing him for so long with these.
It's true. The dam is fully broken.
Yeah.
And also, like, it was very obvious to me that like he was going to like this in the way that you like anyone who enjoys the type of books that we do. Like, this was going to be his shit. You know, like that's why we're covering it on the podcast. That's the idea.
Yes.
So
that's awesome. I gotta message him and be like, hey, give me spoilers.
please, for God, don't.
Send him with a mail and paper. I'll burn them after I get them.
They do come out of hyperspace, though, to this really interesting point. That is this accretion disk around a sun, which is what happens when planets form, right? So he describes kind of the beginning of planets forming in such a way here, and that's just such an excellent visual, I think, as we might consider or think about it.
Yeah. Again, that whole section was super cool. I feel like I understand it more now. I like where they go next.
That's fair. Do you understand how accretion disks become planets? Do you understand the idea?
No.
Okay, real quick. Suns are big and massive. They've got a lot of mass, right? They draw in particulate. Particulate at different ratios collapses in on itself because there's gravity. Gravity is a ratio of like weight versus attraction. And so they settle in masses and then they become planets over time. Just like that continues to happen over time and time and time. Okay. So that's what he's saying.
Particulate is just clusters of particles?
It's minerals. Yeah, it's like
minerals.
Literal it's literally rocks in space, right?
Okay. Yeah, I know space does make planet, but like beyond that,
that's the idea though, is like gravity, the influence of gravity on the weight of things is what like makes them collide. Then you throw in like meteors and other things that interact, and that's how we get like weird compositions on planets that like lead to these points.
Turn into water and trees and shit.
Right. Like we're a very unique combination of things that balance out against the size of our star, which is like the whole
Goldilocks zone and all that bullshit. Yeah,
exactly.
Cool.
Right.
I know like elementary school, like we went to the fucking constellation room shit, but like not beyond that. So.
I've read way too much science fiction, and also taken too much physics, so I know a lot. But
nice. No, I like hearing about it. This is really cool. Like sometimes I hit these chapters and I'm like, this sounds like something for the physics and science fiction nerds, and I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, I don't think that there's too much of this in general, for the record, in the entire series, but I do think that like, hey man, we can take a second, we can stop and talk about it if we need to.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially people coming out of fantasy.
I'm also going to make you. We're also going to stop, and I'm going to make you explain Shakespeare sometimes. You know?
Yeah, fair. Speaking of some of that coming up, actually, not Shakespeare. We have a really weird GameCube game that I'm going to talk about in a half second here. That is referenced here 100%. There's no way it's not. So that we get there, the rest of his crew begins to wake, and Hadrian finds out that Volca has been spending about 3 weeks with Tanaran. As he has been up for a couple of weeks, he quickly runs into the pair of them, and they're both speaking Cielcin, which is kind of a crazy turn for her. And then also the opposite is true, where Tanaran is speaking broken Galstani.
Yeah. I'm digging it. I like our Cielcin boy. Based on other shit that Hadrian said, he's probably whatever our concept of evil is. He's not evil to his concept, but he's probably evil. But right now I'm like, hell yeah, we got a big
guy,
pale boy,
and he's also like well behaved and like a good dude.
He
like,
seems nice.
Yeah. He's doing well. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
He's not eating anyone. You know,
not yet. I mean, because they've been giving him food. You know,
true. Paste. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Look, man, if you live with gators and you don't feed them, what's going to happen? So that's not the gators' fault. But he's surprised, and I'm like, I'm not surprised. I thought that was the whole idea. Like, makes sense. That's why she's here, But it was interesting to see that he like had some level of surprise, and then I think even he kind of has a moment where he's like, "Of course she did," but
yeah. So there's a line within this section which you might just write off as, 5 words that don't matter.
Let's hear it.
But when you're looking at it and you're reading it in text form, you're like, those are italicized. Also, there are weird letters capitalized there that shouldn't be. I think you're referencing a thing that I think that you're referencing. And then you do a quick Google and you're like, I believe that I was correct as I hallucinated something from 2004 when I was 10 years old. We, again, are the same age as Christopher Rocchia. We are the exact same age, which is frustrating in many ways, but incredible in others. Incredible for him, frustrating for us.
So if at any point in this book someone yells, "The stars are going out," I can assume that he said it like, "The stars are going out."
Yeah, precisely.
Okay.
Except for he had a GameCube and not a PlayStation is really the trick here, which is what I'm referencing, which is what he's referencing, which is from Baten Kaitos' Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean, which is a game that I only found out originally because it was in Game Informer in the mid-2000s, and I had a GameCube before I had a PlayStation fully committed to like a PS2. And I played the fuck out of this game. It's a weird turn-based game. It's fun. It's like what led into a lot of my other loves too. And I was like, time ever fleeting, forgive us. I was like, that is absolutely from the open. Like that is right there in like everything and so much. And it just, I went, huh. It can't not be that. And I've yet to reach out to confirm. But it can't.
Please
not
do.
Be. Yeah.
That was like the thing I thought might just be a Princess Mononoke reference from the first book.
Yeah, it probably is, to be honest. But
okay,
yeah,
that's so funny. Like for me, I was a PlayStation 1.
Yeah,
like
I had a PlayStation 1. I did get a PlayStation 2, but I had a GameCube. Divorced parents, 2 separate game consoles.
Fair enough. Yeah,
fighting each other. Yeah,
my parents fought each other at home together and stayed together and kept fighting.
Mine didn't.
So we just had the one PlayStation,
right?
Anyways, it would be like the equivalent of at some point Hadrian just dropping like, "I've been having these weird dreams lately."
Yes, or like Sector 7, or like
not.
talking about Sector 7 and bombing it with Avalanche or something.
You're like, what?
Yeah. You're like, wait, you're talking about Final Fantasy?
Did you just drop like a weird line about heretic, like the, and then you went on to say something about like the elite heretic of old or something, and I'm like, Are you talking about Halo?
Yeah,
are you talking about Halo?
For the record, I had to look this up because I was like sitting there being like, is this a Halo reference? Because there are a lot of very similar lines that come out of Halo 2 in particular.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what you're referencing. And I was like, that's not it. But it is very close to a couple of things that the Everspark says. And
nice.
And Allspark, Everspark.
Allspark.
Guilty Spark. Allspark is
Spark.
fucking Transformers.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know there is an Allspark in the world. Guilty Spark is definitely
yes.
Okay. The Oracle. I could definitely see Rocchio dropping a line where Hadrian references something from the Arbiter Heretic of Old Earth, and you're like, the Arbiter Heretic,
right?
And it's just because the history is included Halo as a
real
thing
big deal.
That happened.
Yeah, right. It survived. Through the Red Ring of Death, the Xbox survived.
Yes, there's the Iliad, the Odyssey, there's Shakespeare, and there is Halo 2 specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I in particular, the Baten Kaitos was a game that I bought used after I had seen it, and I like begged my parents to buy it. They didn't buy it at the time. I got it eventually because I found it for sale. Really like the Xenoblade Chronicles, which he did afterwards, which more people know. The same developer did Xenoblade. But I found out through researching this quote that it was recently re-released. This and the prequel was re-released and remastered in 2023. You bet your fucking boy bought it for his Switch. So
hell yeah.
I am
you know,
very excited to replay these games.
Leslie really wants a Switch too. I've never had a Switch of my own. We're not very good at sharing handheld consoles. So I think she's going to get a Switch too. So I'm about to have a Switch. And you know, Fire Red's releasing.
Dude, I bought Leaf Green because my brother bought Fire Red as well. This was all this weekend.
I'm so excited to
both
get
of these
jumping
discoveries
on Fire Red. So I'll have to play some fucking Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings, and the Lost Ocean.
Yes. Yeah. It was fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I was blown away. And then when I searched the quote, I was like, I can't believe I'm right. Like, I can't believe that my memory retained that. Between that and like my deep love of like Fire Emblem, you know, it's like, it would be like someone quoting something from Ike. So it was very cool. It was like a full trip to the past that I didn't catch the first time as well. So like, this is the first time that I like noted it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna catch a weird reference to like Pandorum later, like a movie I've only seen on FX. But you know.
Dude's got some fun references. There's a lot of like, he obviously shuffles into like normal like classical references. There's some like Berserk in there. There's a lot of like random other animes. He's got a lot of good shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Evangelion.
Yeah. Nice.
So this is where I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Tanaran supposes that maybe they don't freeze when they go to space. He finds that whole concept weird.
Yeah. Well, and he's like, oh, your ships must be slow. And Hadrian's like, no. So it begs the question, jumping back to the first book where Hadrian's talking about how ancient their armor is, the Cielsen. That like maybe their culture is just less militaristically forward and more space travel forward, you know, like they're probably looking at these advanced warriors, but they're looking at their ships and they're like fucking primitives, you know, or as Valka would say, barbarians, you know?
Yeah, right.
And there's an interesting thing that we'll get to in the next section where they kind of link back to this. The next section being next week. Sorry, everybody.
Eat shit. Sorry, we love you.
But yeah, you mentioned we might talk about some things through it, but there's a moment later where the speed of a ship gets mentioned. And he's like, that's not how fast ships go. And Valka's like, no, yeah, ships go that fast. And he's like, no. And so we're getting kind of an idea of like how behind the Empire might be in certain aspects of technological advancement, because they spent so much time perfecting things like genes or weapons, or I don't know, gene weapons. So
maybe maybe gene weapons,
weapon genes. Weaponized blue jeans, probably.
I literally was about to make half a second, man. Half a second, not even. I was like, the Levi's company. That's where my brain was going.
Oh,
the
for
Levi's
sure, the Levi's company
actually
still
makes
exists.
missiles. Yeah, and they've got 2 legs.
Firing the left pant. Firing the right pant.
Make sure the belt loops fire as well for covering fire. Belt loops.
Sir, the fly's down.
The fly's down. The fly's down. Oh man, that's good. That said, Davia contacts Hadrian, interrupting their conversation, as it seems as though they made contact with March Station, which we're going to be talking a lot about within the next episode. Tanaran is brought to the deck, and I do find it somewhat funny that she's as tall as the Cenobite. Like, we've talked before about how tall she is, but Hadrian's like, he's somewhere between like 8 feet and 9 feet tall, probably, and she's as tall? What?
Different book series, but there's like Ragnar blood somewhere going on right now. That's crazy.
Right. This is like from Resident Evil 8, you know, like just tall vampire later.
Yeah, exactly.
like
Brienne of Tarth's super distant descendant.
Very distant. Yeah.
Little do people know, this is actually set not in our world, but in a Game of Thrones world that then became our world.
Yes. Earth is like it's a pseudo concept. Actually, we're closer to Middle Earth here.
Yes.
Crazy.
Big lady.
Yeah. Also not like frightened by the fact that he's talking Galstani, which is another thing.
Yeah. There's just a lot of times where Hadrian assumes she's going to be freaked out by something, and she's just like, yep, I'm good with that. I'm 9 feet tall.
Yeah. there's an interesting description that gets layered in here, which talks again about the ships that we were talking about a moment ago, which is Mother's operas led me to suspect some dim industrial hell of the ships, a place of grinding machines and shadow. Still other tales spoke of crystal palaces like those on Jad. Vergosos itself was meant to be a palace of ice and diamond, a fairy city peopled by the demons, such as the legendary Karn Sagara had tamed when he cast out the Exalted.
Yeah. I love the idea that like all he's going off of is like plays that don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But this is another reference, maybe for the first time in this book of Karn Sagara, and this is where we get that reference.
I double checked.
The
it is
Exalted.
the first. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if we've really talked about the Exalted yet. We do some more later, but there's an interesting little this is easy to skip over, I think, on a first listen, because there's a lot of like stuff that I feel like if I wasn't reading this book the way that we are, kind of broken down piece by piece, this line might not have stuck with me. But instead here it does.
Yeah, I think that this is a great example of where like we obviously benefit from this, but also this is sometimes lines like this are like subtle foreshadowing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially knowing where we go next week, where we might get some more
the next
references.
Reading, or are you talking about next week's episode in particular?
Yeah, next week's episode.
Okay,
next
got it.
But at the end of next week's episode, which we have already read and we'll be talking about shortly,
yes,
there's a lot of mention of the Exalted, I feel like.
Oh yes, much more conversation about the Exalted for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. And then also, if you're down to jump to this next little line that you have here,
yeah.
There's a great line in the first book that also reference "Here There Be Dragons" and the monsters on the edges of the map, and I like it.
And this is a little different, not only on the edges of the map, but he says in the map there are cracks, as though there are other layers that are beneath everything that we might even be able to perceive, on the top layer. And there too, there are dragons.
There's just a lot of dragons.
There's just dragons. Yeah,
there do be dragons.
I mean, and to be fair to Rockio, as far as like we consider like a lot of other maps versus like the old world, right? Most fantasy maps, most story maps, you're looking for that mountain. You're looking for
100%.
The creature in the mountain, Would
you go as far as to say that you think that Hadrian has been imagining dragons?
Probably. Radioactive. Radio. All right. Well, that's a perfect place to end the episode. No one will be mad at us at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. Yep. So just for everyone's, sake, the next week we're going to be reading The Gates of Babylon through the Enigma of Hours. So that is going to be the next week's episode as it releases. We will talk about the next reading next week. You can also find it on our website. So like if you really want to like look ahead, readers, and if you're reading ahead and you want to know, you can look there. This should be the last time, I think, probably for this book, that we break these up into like the 2-episode chunks. Most of the rest of it, these sections, even when I did it originally, I thought were a little long, so it worked out also that like we needed the time. So I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but theoretically I should have a much more normal schedule. So like say we all, between between now and July at the very least. So like it should be more normalized on that sort of thing. So less of this, but I hope you enjoyed it. I think we also, because we went a little bit slower and like took our time with these chapters, I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, it's a solid hour 40 episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. You should. Hey, we could go back to the 3 or 4 hour episodes we started on. Do you want that? Is that what you want? I shouldn't ask that. They might want actually, that. A lot of people say yes, and that's the response that I get a lot of the time. And I'm like, yo, I get it, but also sometimes I just need a like. That is how long we will be recording this evening for both of these episodes, which is great because it's 2 episodes. But sometimes it's like, I wish I could talk faster about these things. Yeah, right. Definitely. All right. That said, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. You can find us on social media, Words and Whiskey Pod, on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, feel free to shoot us an email at wordsandwhiskeyshow@gmail.com. You can support us directly, patreon.com/wordsandwhiskey. And we're super excited to have everyone there to do so. I don't know if we'd mentioned this, but we recently had a sponsored episode that will be showing up at some time in the near future, only because it's such a big book. I can't predict the date, but we'll be covering Musashi, which I'm very excited to do.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Is this the part where I say leave us a review?
Yeah.
Okay. Leave us a review.
Good.
But a good review, a 5-star review.
One.
Otherwise, we're going to stun you in the back.
And give you milk blood.
We're gonna give you milk blood. I was gonna say we're gonna stun you in the back, cut off your hand, and pummel the shit out of you, all three of me. But I think the better threat is I'm just gonna make you read that milk line again, just over and over. I'm gonna make you write it 40 times on the chalkboard, like corporal punishment. Yes. So, leave us a review, or I'll be sad.
Very fair. Very fair. With that, dear listener, viewer, there are endings, and this is one.
Goodbye.